End of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News today, August 17th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Quite a bit to get to. On day 170 of the Iran war. We got the ins and outs. What's transpired over the weekend, the quote ceasefire MOU, which no one honored, has expired. Neither side, Trump nor Iran, says they're going to re-up it. Both sides claiming victory. Here now. Mutiny in the military. We'll take a look at that. The falling out still going on over USS Abraham Lincoln. Poor chow. Malfunctioning toilets. Take a look at all that. U.S. Central Command says nothing to worry about. As per usual, Trump threatens to bomb Oman. The back and forth, Iran's warning of a false flag attack. We'll take a look at that. The ins and outs of Iran war on day 70. We'll take a look at the surveillance state. We got the link here. If you're interested, if you've been flocked, if you've been scanned by one of these if your license plate has been scanned by one of these surveillance systems, we'll take a look at that. The fallout from all of the flock violation of our natural rights. The war here at home. We'll take a look at that. Whole bunch of economic news. Take a short look at this Hollywood actress, Hayden Panettiere. She died, 36. She was like in the Epstein orbit there. We'll take a look at that, as she had a new book out and she was calling out the perversions of Hollywood, and died of I guess they're saying drug overdose. No signs of foul play. We'll take a look at that. What do we got? A whole lot of economic news. It's just the circle jerk of AI propping up the markets is ridiculous. We'll take a look at that. More schemes, scams, and frauds from Trump. He's profiteering handsomely as we struggle to put groceries on the table, and we wouldn't have it any other way in the golden age of fraud here, brought to us by Trump. He's profiteering handsomely. Take a look at that. Who does control the Strait of Hormuz? Apparently, U.S. Central Command tells us that, we'll take a look at that their U.S. Central Command region covers more than 4 million square miles, they tell us, including 21 nations. Who knew? Apparently, I missed that part in the Constitution. It says we're police of the world, but that's the case according to U.S. Central Command. We'll take a look at that. Who is controlling the Strait of Hormuz? Trump claims he is. Iran claims he is. Looks like not much traffic going through that bad neighborhood, the Strait of Hormuz. We'll take a look at the recent developments there. We have a bunch of geopolitical news. Russia-Ukraine war dragging on. Quite horrific there. The genocide in Lebanon and Gaza continues, as per usual, as we would expect. We wouldn't have it any other way. Hey, cheer on our greatest ally and tie yourself to genocide. I don't know what else you can want out of life here. No, it's quite horrific, disgusting. The demolition of southern Lebanon continues unabated. And the genocide there in Gaza continues as the genocide board met up. Old Kushner met up with Milei, Bibi Netanyahu, shadow president of America. We'll take a look at the reports of that meeting. And the occupied West Bank campaign of terror by ultra Zionist settlers continues. We'll take a look at that and take a look at a few jail detained American citizens over there in Aardvark land. Where's the outrage? Who cares? You know what I mean? They're half Palestinian. They're lucky they're not dead, right? And then we'll take a look at this. There's the cat's out of the bag, right? The world knows they're genocidal maniacs. So Aardvark land's trying to do something to curb the negative attention that they've created for themselves by killing a bunch of people. And so now they're creating fake think tanks to poison AI chatbots with positive genocide narratives for aardvarks. Who would have thunk? They're trying to rig the system one more time. Take a look at all of that and much more on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we're getting good news from the YouTube out there. Actually, they're saying every click will count as a view, and it doesn't even matter about viewing time, even though we want to retain our viewers with important, informative information that you can use as action items in your daily life. But it is good news for us, quote, creators out there on the YouTube trying to earn a buck through their monetization schemes. So it's actually good news for Weaponized News as we skirt the community guidelines of the YouTube. All right, all that out of the way, let's get to this day in history. I see a few people coming online now. Shout out to those in the chat. Shout out to Ruckus on the YouTube, Hum on the YouTube, and shout out to Fat Bob on the Rumble. Yep, cat's out of the bag. The world knows. Yeah, well, if you say they're wrong, they're the good guys, right? So, I mean, if you say they're wrong, you're bad. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at, tragically enough. All right, on this day in history of August 17th, we go back to the year 1787. Aardvarks are granted permission in Budapest, Hungary to prey in groups. Big mistake. Give them an inch, they take your whole country and murder everybody. 1891 on this day, we saw electric self-starter for automobiles as patented. That is a very useful device as opposed to the crank, right? Remember the crank on the old, you'd have to crank over your motor, literally. 1897 on this day. We had another 1891. 1891 on this day, we saw the People's Bath, the first public bathhouses with showers open in New York City. On this day in 1897, William B. Purvis patents an electric railway switch, also known as a set of points. On this day, 1897. 1903, Joseph Pulitzer donates $1 million to Columbia University and begins the Pulitzer Prizes in the United States. On this day in 1908, Bank of Italy, now Bank of America, opens its headquarters in San Francisco, California. On this day, 1915, on this day in 1915, a mob lynches aardvark businessman Leo Frank in Cobb County, Georgia, after his death sentence for the murder of a 13-year-old girl is commuted to life sentence. And coming out of that, we saw the formation of the Anti-Defamation League. It was founded in late September of 1913, it's tied in there. Yeah, the 1915 lynching further shaped the young organization, underscoring the stakes of antiseptic violence and social exclusion of aardvarks. So it's founded a little bit before that, but they jumped on the bandwagon here and said, "Oh my gosh, how dare you punish old? How dare you punish old Leo Frank?" On this day, 1917, Italy declares war on Turkey. On this day, 1918, Bolshevik revolutionary leader Mosi Ersky is assassinated. 1939, on this day, Wizard of Oz is released in its theatrical debut in New York City. The man behind the curtain has never been more apparent. The emperor has no clothes. Also, the side note, the novel Wizard of Oz was used as an allegory for monetary reform in this country. Dorothy's slippers in the novel were silver and not ruby red. Everybody should look out The Secrets of Oz by Bill Still. Great economic and monetary documentarian, Bill Still. Check it out. All right. Continuing here, 1945. Or excuse me, we had a few. Let me go back here to 1943. We saw on this day 498 British Royal Air Force bombers attack the German V2 weapons development base in Germany. Also, 1943, we saw the U.S. 8th Air Force lose 60 B-17 bombers during an attack on Schweinfurt and Regensburg, Germany. On this day in 1945, we saw Korea be divided into North and South Korea along the 38th parallel. And we do have some North Korea news today as well. On this day in 1946, George Orwell publishes Animal Farm. On this day in 1952, start of the thermonuclear Holocaust propaganda, I do believe. On this day, 1952, the word, quote, fallout, referring to radioactive particles carrying into the atmosphere after a nuclear explosion, is first used in the New York Times. On this day, 1952. On this day, 1976, we saw Monty Python's Life of Brian premiered in the United States. On this day, 1998, Monica Lewinsky scandal. U.S. President Bill Clinton admits in taped testimony he had an improper physical relationship with the intern, and on this day admits before the nation he misled people about the relationship. Shocking, I know. Here's a photo from back in the day there. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And it all depends on what your definition of is. There you go. Classic lies from Bill Clinton. And on this day in 2012, gay pride events are banned for a century in Moscow, Russia. On this day in our civil liberties history, we have a few events to go over. Going back to 1945, George Orwell's Animal Farm, aforementioned, published on this day, a savage critique of totalitarianism. George Orwell's classic small book, Animal Farm, was published in London on this day, an allegory in which one group of farm animals promise democracy to run the farm, but end up seizing complete control for themselves, is widely regarded as a classic critique of totalitarianism. Many political commentators regard Animal Farm only as a critique of communism, as did historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr., who reviewed the book in the New York Times when it was published in the United States. A more balanced view, however, sees the book as a critique of all forms of totalitarianism, whether from the political left or the political right. Orwell more fully develops his views on totalitarianism and anti-democratic trends in all forms of modern government in his equally famous novel 1984. On this day in our civil liberties history, 1969, activist lawyers established Unconventional Law Firm, a group of lawyers active in defending New Left, anti-war, and other political dissidents, opened what the New York Times on this day described as an unconventional law firm. The attorneys included William Kunstler, Arthur Tilloy, and Benjamin Smith, each of whom had been involved in high profile political cases in recent years. And then finally, on this day in our civil liberties history, Aspen, Colorado hippies charge police harassment. Members of an Aspen, Colorado hippie community on this day accused the police of harassment, which including telling people to get out of town, trumped up criminal charges, excessive 90-day jail sentences, and illegal searches and seizures. A police, quote, crackdown on hippies began a month earlier when 87 residents presented a petition to the city council demanding action against them. One restaurant owner, evidently not hip to changing times, placed a sign in his window saying, "No beatniks allowed." And then here's our segue to the news. Flashback 18 years ago, Iraqi journalist who hurled shoes at George Bush says would do it again if given the chance. Mahuta Dahar al-Zadi reaffirms 18 years later that he has no regrets. Al-Zadi was tortured for 3 days plus 3 months in solitary confinement and sentenced to 3 years in prison for the famous Bush throwing incident. We got some 33 columns there. I'm sure George Bush is very happy about. Flashback to the Iraqi shoe throwing journalist 18 years ago said he'd do it all again.
It doesn't bother me. And if you want the facts, it's a size 10 shoe that he threw.
Yeah, I don't know why he's pissed. Young Bush and Daddy Bush killed over 1 million Iraqis. I don't know why he'd be upset. We're liberating them. And then here's nonsense. It's just never ending with Trump. Nonsense. It don't hit anymore. It's not funny. We're on day 170 of the Iran war, and the economy's in the shit. So this is, it don't hit anymore. MAGA fools. Trump posted this over the weekend. Pocahontas and Abdul want to take your stuff and crash the economy. Well, Trump's doing a pretty good job himself of crashing the economy right now, actually. Posted this earlier today out of the White House. The most effective and simplest form of mind control is repetition. They keep telling us, and we keep debunking it here at Weaponized News. Again, for those in the cheap seats in the back, our own intelligence community and the State Department both said before the Iran war, Iran was not an imminent threat to the United States, and we were doing it to defend Aardvark land. Here's Trump once again with the repetition The number one goal is and always will be that Iran cannot have in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. Yeah, bullshit. It's already been debunked by our own government. And so now we're seeing mutiny out there. These long deployments in senseless, illegal foreign wars of aggression are starting to come home to roost. The troops are not stupid out there. They know what's going on. Thumbnail, big falling out over the weekend, written on the dust here of U.S. aircraft. You can see right there some of the comments. Be a good guy and do what Aardvark Land tells you to. Operation Epstein Fury. It's not lost on the troops here. Peace deal number 46 incoming. All this for the Holy Land. They say what? Be a good goy on here. I love flock cameras. And so it appears that troops out there, the tic-tac-toes, obviously Hangman, all-time classics right there. All-time classics. I love Aardvark Land. I am a good goyim. So, yeah, quite horrific there. What people in the media don't understand when they compare past conflicts to this one is this operation has no morale behind it. Yeah, because it's complete and utter bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. Here's they did some zoom ins on it. Bibby bucks, Malay bucks there for you. Let's take another look with a little bit of a zoom in quickly here. So morale's at all-time lows here. They keep lying, but it's not working any longer. Sailors aboard U.S. airships face mold, broken equipment, food shortages, inadequate hot water, extreme deployment schedules. As reports indicate, sailors experiencing severe mental health fatigue, and some reportedly have attempted suicide. Here's a look inside one of these U.S. warships.
All right, y'all. So a couple y'all wanted to see how the ship looked, or the head looked, aka the bathroom. So showers right here, you feel me? This is what we go through on a carrier in the Navy. They say join the Navy, right? Join the Navy. Yeah, look at this, y'all. This is crazy. This ain't even the worst part, man. Sinks atrocious. Wait till y'all see the toilets, man. Look at the toilet. Y'all expect me to take a doo-doo in this, y'all? Nah. Y'all crazy. Look at this. Come on now. Join the Navy, though, right? Join the Navy. Yeah, all right.
They're going to get busted with putting out these videos, these sailors. And all this fallout with the USS Abraham Lincoln, reports of mutiny, reports of extremely poor mental health conditions, the longest deployment ever at sea, attempted suicides, all this. We have nothing to worry about because U.S. Central Commander Admiral Brad Cooper did a tour over there about what's all going on, and he put out a statement over the weekend, so we have nothing to worry about. He says, my time aboard USS Abraham Lincoln yesterday was awe-inspiring. I wish every American could see the crew in action. You would beam with absolute pride when witnessing their camaraderie, teamwork, and resilience. Here's an important fact. Of the U.S. Navy's 11 active aircraft carriers, the Lincoln currently has among the lowest number of cases related to mental health. This doesn't mean that all is perfect. Find any of the nearly 4 million Navy veterans in America today, and they will likely tell you that service at sea for long periods isn't for everyone. It is unique uniquely challenging and tough, and every single one of us, including me, reacts to stressors in different ways. I've long believed that mental health is another aspect of individual health and requires our attention just like physical health and spiritual health. Go die for Aardvark land. Just say that and everything is wonderful again. I applaud Lincoln's leadership, the senior enlisted leaders in the chief petty officer's mess in particular, for stepping up and making mental health and crew resilience a leadership priority. To all sailors and Marines aboard the ship, keep up the great work and fair winds and following seas on the journey home. That's very nice of Admiral Brad Cooper there from U.S. Central Command, isn't it? Iran offers $30,000 bounty for killing captured U.S. soldiers. Not good. Things are not de-escalating. We're not getting closer to peace. Iran is getting more militant, more hardline, more belligerent. Iran's military announced yesterday that it was offering a bounty equivalent to $30,000 for killing or capturing U.S. soldiers, with the reward doubled if carried out by a woman. So there's your diversity there for the Democrats or whatever, for the women's rights. Iran's honoring it, offering double the reward for a woman that would whack a U.S. soldier. It's quite horrific, obviously. Anyone who kills or captures and hands over an invading American military personnel will receive a reward equivalent to $30,000 or 5 billion tomans from Iran's army, the statement said. Iran's parliamentary speaker claims total victory over U.S. and Aardvark land, says U.S. now recognizes the resistance front. Iranian parliamentary speaker Ghalibaf, who heads Iran's negotiating delegation, declared Iran the outright victor in the war with the United States and Aardvark land, and made new claims that the terms of the resulting agreement in comments over the weekend carried on his official channels. He said, "We have won the war on both the military and political fronts." Ghalibaf said, "The greatest absolute defeat for the United States and the Zionist regime." He said the two states had attacked Iran with 9 officially declared, written, and repeated objectives and did not achieve any of their goals at any level. Ghalibaf claimed the firepower used against Iran exceeded the deployed throughout Vietnam War, but said Iranian society remained united. Iran must now establish sufficient deterrence to avoid being trapped in a cycle of war, ceasefire, and attrition. He added, on the MOU that expired yesterday or today, depending on your time zone, Ghalibaf said Iran had secured recognition of the, quote, resistance front. He said an initial 15-point document from the United States demanded Iran abandon its missile and nuclear programs, the resistance front, and its position on the Strait of Hormuz. But Trump was ultimately forced to recognize the resistance front in Persia in the final MOU. He credited the victory to 90 million Iranians of all tastes, religions, ethnicities, and backgrounds, along with those killed in the war. He praised journalists' performance during the 12-day war and the fighting during Ramadan. Ghalibaf criticized Iranian media for failing to make the public feel the scale of the claimed victory, saying journalists must ensure people can, quote, taste the sweetness of it and preserve the country's resistance for all of history. He also declared his absolute loyalty to Iran's current leadership, saying there was no difference for him between the martyred imam and the present leader. The ruling is the ruling of guardianship and leadership. And these were sourced from his Telegram channel, translated from Persian into English here for you, posted by the Drop Site News. This dude, Ghalibaf, right? We know this guy. He's been sticking around the Iran war, talking shit the whole time. And so they did not whack him. Continuing here, Trump threatens to bomb U.S. ally Oman if it gets in the way over Iran deal. He's cussing on, yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll bomb everybody. Trump tells Trey Yunks, war reporter there for the War Channel, Fox News, he's in no hurry as a back channel with Iranian IRGC officials remains open despite Tehran's public defiance. It's the same routine. Trump says, they're begging for a deal. Iran says, we're not even talking to you, bro. What are you talking about? Maybe they're probably both lying, but this is what they're publicly stating. Trump says Iran is dying and playing its hand like a good poker player, projecting strength publicly while facing mounting pressure behind the scenes. His message is that Iran should wave the white flag, and he delivers a stark warning to Oman. If Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the shit out of them. So great diplomacy coming out of Trump there, i.e. the Department of War head. What do you do with the drunken Hegseth? We negotiate with bombs. President Trump called on Iran to put up the white flag of surrender and threatened to bomb Oman. We just covered that. It's just so friggin' ridiculous. If Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the shit out of them, Trump told Fox News earlier today. When asked about U.S. weapon stockpiles in the Middle East, he claimed, what we have used so far is peanuts. Trump said he was under no pressure to end the conflict. I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry. Adding, the midterms have nothing to do with my thinking. Well, Republicans are going to lose the midterms big here. Iranian Foreign Minister Odysee, this dude, right? He somehow stuck around and avoided assassination. Him, Odysee. He said he had a few things to say today, actually. Earlier today, he said that an understanding has been reached in negotiations with Oman on a transit route through the Strait of Hormuz. Well, we may just bomb the hell out of Oman next. Baghdadi said the talks have proceeded slowly, but we had planned a still plan to finalize the understanding in the form of a package, the map plus a joint statement. The talks with Oman, Odysee said, narrowly on mapping new navigation lanes for ships since the previous routes are no longer operational. Whether the strait actually reopens, he said, will depend on the fulfillment of other conditions to which the United States must adhere. And he did. Did I lose it here now? I wanted to. Yeah, okay. Here, Odysee said, suggests false flag behind this attack. Drones target Kurdistan regional government leadership. 2 explosive-laden drones targeted the personnel office of Kurdistan region Prime Minister Barzani and the residence of his region's intelligence chief earlier today. Barzani said on X no casualties were reported. The Kazakhstan region's counterterrorism directorate said the drones were launched from Iranian territory. No group immediately claimed responsibility. Barzani called the attacks a dangerous escalation and a direct threat to the security and stability of the region. Barzani is the cousin of another Barzani, Nakhivan Barzani, the Kurdish president. Axios claimed was involved in efforts to exchange a message between Washington and the IRGC early in the war. And so they're saying it came from Iran. Iran's foreign minister, Odysee, suggests false flag between Barzani office attack. Iranian foreign minister Odysee condemned the drone attack on Kurdistan regional prime minister Barzani's office and urged Kurdish authorities to remain vigilant against, quote, false flag ploys to sow discord between neighbors. Who would do that? Aardvarks would never do such a thing. Damn Iranian terrorists, I tell you. His statement followed claims by Kurdish authorities that the drones were launched from Iranian territory. Odysee did not identify a suspected perpetrator, but has also alluded to Aardvark false flag operations in the region in the past 6 months of war. We protected our Kurdish friends against Saddam and Daesh, ISIS, and we're thankful for security they provided on our border, Odysee said. There's no real motivation to be attacking them. But thankfully, Trump over the weekend's posting these memes on his True Social. It's our oil tanker now. Iran has issued the Trump administration an ultimatum after countless threats and stalling. According to a Reuters report, the ultimatum was communicated via Pakistan and Qatar, demanding that the United States must end its naval blockade and return to serious negotiations, or Iran will decide to go back to war. Iran's IRGC has reportedly planned a massive preemptive strike against U.S. and Aardvark land targets, ramping up missile production and major escalation plans that include cutting undersea internet cables in the Gulf and a potential ground incursion in Kuwait to seize U.S. military bases. As Tehran concluded, the June MOU was a U.S. tactic to buy time for a bigger attack. According to the Wall Street Journal, the IRGC has prepared plans for preemptive attacks against the U.S. and Aardvark land assets, with target banks updated beyond military sites to include economic and strategic targets. Iran has developed capabilities to attack deep sea fiber optic cables in the Persian Gulf that carry 30% of global internet traffic, a move that would cause an economic earthquake. The cables that keep the Gulf online are in the crosshairs. Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE rely on these specific cables for over 90% of their operations. A strike would cripple banking, e-commerce, and the massive AI and cloud computing hubs that Gulf states have invested billions to build, including data centers operated by Amazon, Google, and Meta. The region would face immediate widespread digital isolation. The AI and cloud infrastructure that Gulf states have positioned as the future of their economies would be stranded overnight. The U.S.-Iran MOU officially ended today, August 17th. Iran has reportedly given the United States a, quote, few weeks. Surprised I didn't say 2 weeks. ultimatum to meet its demands, or it will shift to a fully offensive posture and launch a, quote, timely and precise military attack, according to Reuters, citing a senior Iranian official. Iran's demands include $3 billion or $300 billion, excuse me, in reconstruction funds, full release of frozen Iranian assets, lifting of the U.S. naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, end the war across all fronts, permanent resolution on the Strait of Hormuz. He emphasized Iran has reportedly decided to shift from a defensive to a fully offensive posture. Iran's demands remain the same on day 170 of the Iran war as they were at the very beginning of the Iran war. Here now. Okay, well, more of that in the geopolitical section. On to the war here at home for our privacy and our natural rights. Jason Bassler posts this meme into the Flock debacle here. Danger, they are conditioning you to view your privacy as selfish. Yeah, don't believe them. They're perverted spies. A Carolina town is very upset after someone walked up to two separate Flock surveillance cameras and blasted them with foam. You can see right here in this image. It's becoming a thing here now. Halloween, in a couple months, October, right? Halloween reportedly being promoted as, quote, Deflock America night against Flock surveillance cameras. Don't do anything illegal out there. I'm just reporting what is going on with the pushback against the dystopian future. Well, Flock CEO, they're trying to do some damage control out there in the media. This was a couple of days ago, actually, but Jason Bassler posted this 3 months ago. Flock CEO called Deflock terrorist while bragging Flock would make history. Newsweek, last week, August 13th, Flock CEO says goal isn't a dystopian future. County commissioner to Flock rep. Quite frankly, sir, I don't think we can make America great again without hanging your CEO Flock publicly for treason.
One of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, once famously said that those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And I actually have a problem with this resolution because I think it needs to be amended. It's too open-ended. It says that we shall not review it until such concerns have been addressed, as laid out by Gary Stidham and written in the resolution. And I have some concerns with what Gary and what Mark are talking about. I don't think we need to renew this at all. I don't think the people of Sullivan County want this. I believe that Flock right now is one of the most hated companies in America. They are one of the most corrupt companies in America. And quite frankly, sir, I don't think we can make America great again without hanging your CEO publicly for treason. Your company is an enemy of the American people.
We're not going to threaten violence to anybody.
Wowzers. I guess he's the government. He has a monopoly on violence. He's allowed to do it. Don't threaten these people. I'm telling you, they'll throw the book at you. But that's what's going on here at some county commissioners meetings regarding the Flock. Futurism says, sensing he's in deep trouble, Flock CEO says it's all been a big misunderstanding. You're violating our natural rights, bro. You're the criminal. In the United States, there's practically no escaping from mass surveillance company Flock Safety's 120,000 license plate reading cameras spread across 49 states. The company has partnered with 6,000 law enforcement agencies and 1,000 private consumers, leading leading to terrifying false arrests and even crooked cops stalking innocent women. Just last week, 404 Media reported that Flock had been planning to infiltrate the dash cams of Uber and Lyft drivers' cars to scan license plate numbers of nearby vehicles at unprecedented scale. In short, it's no wonder people are being celebrated for physically cutting down Flock's surveillance towers as the controversy surrounding privacy and civil rights continues to grow. At least 54 cities across the United States have voted to cancel, non-renew, or reject Flock's automatic license plate readers since the beginning of the year, highlighting a major propaganda PR crisis for the company. Consequently, Flock CEO Garrett Langley is now in full damage control mode. Let's see. I think we have a clip here. Yeah, here's a clip from ZBS News. Flock Safety CEO Garrett Langley says that states that ban Flock cameras are being used by ICE for immigration enforcement have immigration enforcement actions blocked. As soon as you log in a state like California, this technology cannot be used for immigration enforcement. If it is, then it would be a violation of our contracts with our customers. He says Flock cameras aren't being used to track women crossing state lines for abortion. There's been reported cases that Flock was used to track a woman in Texas for an abortion, that's been proven false. And that, to me, is sad that we're at this point where you don't have accurate reporting. Our challenges as a business stem from misinformation. We don't do facial recognition. We don't steal data. We don't have a contract with ICE. Those are simply not true. Nobody believes this guy. 80 plus cities have ended or rejected Flock contracts related to privacy, data sharing, transparency, and surveillance concerns. Let's hear a little bit from this lying criminal, Langley. I don't know. Sparks a CIA in my mind. This guy is the criminal.
Should ICE, immigration enforcement, have access to cameras, Flock cameras, to find out where someone has gone if they haven't committed a crime?
No, and I think that expands far beyond ICE. No one should use Flock without criminal intent. That's explicit in our contracts with our customers, and in many states.
All these tech bros are just freaking lying crooks, man. Trump doesn't know because he doesn't give a damn about our natural rights. He's a freaking dark occultist terrorist, essentially, here now. Con man, criminal. Trump on Flock cameras asked earlier today, he said, it's being studied right now. We'll have an answer as to our views on it in the next couple of weeks. You should know, point blank, it's a violation of our natural rights, bro. Thought you're Mr. America. Draining the swamp. Standing up for the people, for the populace. Turns out not so much. Has your vehicle been searched by Flock cameras? Here's how we find out. Report out of Hawaii News Now. A website is allowing drivers to see if Flock surveillance cameras have searched their vehicles. Have I been flocked allows users to type in their license plate number into a search bar to run through a series of audit logs within the Flock system. According to the website, the data from the cameras is made available through Freedom of Information requests. Those sources have been made publicly available. And here's that site for those interested. HaveIBeenFlocked.com there, and you can enter your license plate number and find out what data they have on you. that's been made publicly available there. I'll link to all this at Weaponized News Substack channel, or you can simply go to haveibeenflocked.com if you're interested in seeing how far the spine's gone against you personally. You're not paranoid if they really are out to get you. The Police 2.0 put out this video coming next after all these surveillance, Axon, Flock, all the other surveillance coming next, spy drones to keep you and I safe. Oh yeah, so that's coming to a neighborhood near us soon as well. All for our own safety. They're not selling your data, stalking, or abusing it. I've seen some case they I should have got that one for the flock. The flock camera misidentified a woman who they accused of getting in a hit and run accident that killed like 3 people. They put her in jail for like 2 weeks, and then it turns out it wasn't even her. It wasn't even her. Meta begins a California trial this week in a $1.4 trillion lawsuit claiming its platforms are designed to be addictive to children, a case that could constitute a real reckoning for Meta. Meta was also just ordered to pay nearly $1 billion in New Mexico after being found liable for social media addiction in teens in 2 separate cases this year. Trust them. They're very trustworthy companies. Humanoid robots could soon patrol U.S. southern border, Foundation CEO says to Fox News. If drones and watchtowers were able to solve for everything, why do we still have humans at the border? This came upon this report about this Chinese Unitree robots defeating humans in athletic feats here now. I don't know how it could really be compared, but we're going to get to nobody at the WNBA can determine, or in public health for that matter, can determine what a woman is. So we're going to get to the point what a human is before we know it here now, with China's Unitree Robotics unveiled its latest superhuman bot, which can leap 2 meters high and hit 12.66 meters on legs in just 0.85 meters. Here's some of the robots' performance outperforming Olympic record holders. Pretty soon we won't be able to define what a human is here now, and everyone will act stupid. Take your brain chip at birth. So there you go. Can jump higher and run faster than famous Olympian Usain Bolt. Here's Unitree. This is a little bit older, like a month-old post, but hey, Unitree R1 price for a 4-foot-tall robot here, $4,900. Here's some video of the Unitree R1 unit. What is a human? There you go. Coming because the flock camera said you did something wrong to your home soon enough. Is Mitch McConnell dead or alive? I don't know. As reported, 3 weeks, a month ago now, Governor Andy Beshear out of Kentucky said that he had multiple reports Mitch McConnell was no longer with us. Mitch McConnell absolutely refuses to film a video, according to Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky. Is he alive or dead? Who cares? As long as he votes for more war, it doesn't even really matter now, does it? Here's a post by Wall Street Apes. And this video has been out there for a while on YouTube, actually, but more of these mask disguises out of the CIA, former CIA spy and chief of disguises. Let's watch this clip. But they have a very high production video on her channel showing you how it all works. They've been using these masks for many years.
White House and briefed the president, and he didn't know.
Hold on. You tricked the President of the United States?
And the Secret Service.
What was your disguise?
A full face mask with hair attached. It was actually a girl that worked with me. Her name was Becky. But I wore her face very nicely, and I dropped 20 years in a heartbeat. Anyway, went in and briefed the president. Now, the president back then was George H.W. Bush, who had been director of CIA at one point. And we had done some disguises for him, mostly for entertainment. He wasn't out on the streets doing work, but mostly, I don't know, for a conference or something. He had a couple of disguises. So I took him some 8x10 glossies of himself in disguise. Because now I'm in my salesperson mode. I'm softening him up because I want him to love this thing I'm going to show him next. And it's going to be a really expensive program, and I want his support for that program. So he's looking at the pictures of himself, and he's laughing. I had never seen George H.W. Bush laugh before. I was impressed. And I said, well, I'm here today to show you the best new thing we've got. You're going to love it. And he's behind the Resolute desk, and he's saying, well, where is it? He's looking, are there bags down on the floor by me? No, there's nothing. I said, well, I'm wearing it. And what I'm going to do is just take it off and show it to you. And he said, no. And he got up and he walked to my chair and walked around my chair, and he couldn't find it. So he sat down and he said, okay, take it off. And I did that Tom Cruise thing. Bush loved it. Everybody loved it. It's a great new capability.
Can you show me the photos? I think you have photos here from this. Oh, so that's you.
That's me on the far right. That's Bush looking at the pictures of himself.
That's you in that disguise?
Yeah. Totally animates.
The mask animates?
Yeah, that was the hard thing. It's not hard to make it look like you, but to get it to move. I mean, I got through the Secret Service with it.
Wow.
I know.
The CIA is saying that they have face mask technology that is so convincing they can talk to the president, they can talk to the Secret Service, and they won't notice anything is different. They'll actually think they're talking to a real different person, which is crazy.
Are any of these clowns real? Or are they just CIA agents wearing masks? And that's been out a minute. People could look up that ex-CIA makeup mask spy lady, Joan Mendez. And some of the videos are just striking. They go through the detail about the masks in even more detail than that video. Maybe we'll pull some of those up for a later event. Here at Weaponized News, continuing here. The tragic death here of Hayden Panettiere. She was on, the heck was that show? Heroes, right? Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. Well, she died over the weekend, yesterday, I believe. Was it yesterday? It was announced yesterday. Over the weekend here now. last night. It's announced that she died at age 36. Cause of death unknown. Her, right? And there was just an eclipse, and a lot of people are saying this is some type of dark occultic ritual. It may very well be. She's from the show Heroes, if you ever saw that. And yeah, they're pointing out that in the logo was, of course, a solar eclipse. The O in Heroes there. And I saw a bunch of people doing all the numerology, geometry, and all of this. I don't get that much into it, but it's something's going on here. As she had just spoken out recently, she put out a book, and she was on the promo tour for the book, and she had said that she was abused by Hollywood, as many others. Let's take a look here. She's dead 3 months after making a claim that she was 18 and essentially nudged, let's just say, into some of this sex trafficking type behavior by a big Hollywood publicist. Let's watch this on a show she did about 3 months ago.
There's all of them. All of them. You write about a moment in your career
And that was old Stephen Baldwin, I believe.
where a friend of yours takes you onto a boat. You're led to a room which has an older man in it, and then basically told to perform sexual acts, and
Oh yeah, perspective completely shifted, and I realized that I was in danger. But by the time I realized I was in danger, I was quite literally out to sea, and it was that moment shook me and was shocking, and I was quite literally walked down, and I had been having a great time. There was no hints of anything like that happening, so it took me I was shocked. It took me by surprise, and it was led by somebody that I had grown to trust and see as a protector and somebody who had my back, and to be walked down the stairs, and it was as like a surprise, presented as though it was like a surprise. And it was this very small room, and she physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous, and had his hands like this, like this was just
Again, that was like 3 months ago. She didn't name the name. She named some names in her book here now, but we don't know who she's actually talking about, because she never names the names. But part and parcel for the whole, she was talking about being on an oligarch's yacht and being shepherded into a room there where some famous dude was there naked in bed, essentially, and told to go ahead and have relations with him. And so it's like one step removed from the whole Epstein orbit. Her her interactions here, all part and parcel for the whole occult Hollywood scene and the rituals and the blackmail that goes on there, tying back in with Epstein as the Epstein Files cover-up continues. Attorney General Todd Blanche said he is not a personal servant of President Trump. Funny. Some good news. Well, we'll come back to that. Let's take our live commercial break. We got some Epstein reporting here, the latest developments. But let me take the live commercial break here at the top of the hour. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. We went through an hour's worth of news there, commercial free. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below this video. Get yourself a holograph sticker, white background sticker. We got the clear sticker over there. Weaponizednews.com/shop. We have t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, shot glasses. As some in the audience say, this show may induce heavy bouts of drinking. However you choose to support this broadcast is appreciated. Go patron the store, weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below this video. Become a donor. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. Links are in the description below this video if you don't feel like patroning the store. Become a Weaponized News Substack paid subscriber. Everything's free there on the Substack. We're streaming there live now. You'll get the full show, summary of the show, links to almost everything we talk about for documentation, further research purposes. It's all free. Become a free subscriber. We would really appreciate if you become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack channel. Show your support for independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week, broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time, a Weaponized News on all of your big tech channels there as we're fighting back, trying to rebuild after the bat debacle essentially took us off the internet. Thank you for your attention to that message. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All the links are in the description below this video. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Monday, August 17th, 2026 edition. Back to more Epstein reporting here now. I guess, well, this is some good news out there. Some good news out of the DOJ when they're not covering up for Trump. Maybe somehow, some way, Americans could get their rights back. The Justice Department posted this earlier today. They say, as one of the first actions as Attorney General, Todd Blanche today finalized a federal regulation and launched a new process allowing eligible individuals who are prohibited from possessing firearms to apply for restoration of their federal firearms rights. It's our natural rights. We shouldn't even have to ask the government. The Justice Department went on to say, quoting them here now, the Second Amendment is not a second-class right, and the federal government should not permanently deprive Americans of a constitutional right without regard to whether they pose a danger to public safety. Attorney General Todd Blanche said, this rule establishes a rigorous common sense process to protect the public while giving deserving Americans a real path to restoration of your Second Amendment rights if you had lost them through malfeasance of the judicial system, let's just say. Here's that. And they have the links, all linked to it at Weaponized News Substack channel, but you can link through there if you're in this category. You may qualify to get your Second Amendment rights recognized by the feds once again. Here now, court turns down Trump's request to reconsider its refusal to hear Carroll suit against him. The Supreme Court earlier today turned down President Trump's request to reconsider the justice's denial of a review in a civil suit brought by journalist E. Jean Carroll, which yielded a $5 million verdict against President Trump for sexually harassing her, right? And it had to be that Carroll. And then went on TV and gave goofy interviews, right? And so it all seems like, to me, part of a plot to discredit legitimate. And I'm not saying she's not legitimate, but they could have found somebody, man, that doesn't go on freaking CNN and act all goofy and say that, you know, rape is sexy. And just, she had all these crazy comments out there in the media. I'm sure you guys remember, discrediting any legitimate claims against Trump's abuse. I believe all part of the bigger scheme to continue the Epstein files cover up amongst other Trump abuses. Here now. Continuing, why Epstein appears in Texas, Ohio, Georgia, and Massachusetts Senate attack ads. And so as the election is cranking up here now, Democrats are pivoting to go ahead and target Republicans as a bunch of Epsteiners, essentially, and putting it in their political attack ads as the November campaign rages on. The Epstein midterms, why the deceased felon appears. Let's watch this report. Where's this out of? Des Moines, Iowa. ZBS Channel 8 News. Let's watch this report as Democrats are making hay out of Republicans tied up in the Epstein affair.
Documents would also go to the Epstein Truth Commission, led by a group of bipartisan lawmakers, to help their separate investigation into possible crimes that happened on Zorro Ranch.
John Rapolo was at that meeting.
The Epstein Truth Commission meeting at the Roundhouse Wednesday, a 119-page interim report.
This report is the first. It's the first time any government has documented what is known about Epstein and what he did in our state.
The commission has sent out 24 subpoenas and received over 100,000 pages of documents, although much of the information came from the Epstein files and other sources. 4 of those subpoenas are new, including one to a Santa Fe spa called 10,000 Waves.
Massage therapists were recruited to the ranch through 10,000 Waves, a Santa Fe spa. The ranch manager told the FBI exactly that in 2007, and before he could hand over the payment records, he received a call from the, quote, main office telling him he was no longer permitted to speak with the FBI.
But this year, the spa posted to social media saying in part, 10,000 Waves has never provided therapists for off-premises house calls. No therapist under the age of 18 has ever worked at the spa, and that it, quote, was unaware of Jeffrey Epstein's activities in New Mexico until the suppressed investigation came to light. The report says 5 women and girls were abused at Zorro Ranch between 1996 and 2012, but the commission believes there were more.
And the commission has counted at least 30 other individuals who potentially were abused in New Mexico. People we cannot yet confirm in most cases because their names are blacked out of the federal record.
Between 1992 and 2019, there were 227 flights into New Mexico on Epstein's aircraft. Epstein was on 140 of those flights.
But the most important numbers on this slide are the ones that might be missing. 80 of those flights that we have obtained on the lists contain no passenger information at all. And roughly 26 passengers appear as female first names or initials.
Survivor Rachel Benavides addressed the commission. She says she was abused at Zorro Ranch and that the government is holding back New Mexico state evidence collected on Epstein.
DOJ, Todd Blanche, is blocking state of New Mexico investigation into Zorro Ranch. Here's Todd Blanche on what Meet the Prostitutes over the weekend.
You and DOJ will, quote, uphold the law without fear or favor. You, of course, used to be President Trump's former personal defense attorney. Can you pledge that the Justice Department will always act independently of the White House?
Well, there's a big difference between saying we will always do our job and investigate any case and act independently of the White House. No, I'm not going to pledge that, and no attorney general should ever pledge.
And the Epstein Files cover-up continues. A little public health news here. The FDA is admitting they have no idea what's being put into our food. That's why we should definitely trust the regulators when it comes to Food and Drug Administration approvals.
Reform is widely regarded by the left and right as the most important food regulatory effort of the past 30 years. This is what everyone has been clamoring for. We got it done today. The real issue here is that the FDA commissioner, as we sit here today, does not know what's in our food. Most Americans, most moms would assume that the ingredients in our food have been subjected to safety studies. That is not true. For the past 40 years, the food industry has taken advantage of a loophole where they can generally recognize a food as safe, grass. And 95% of food ingredients now in our food supply have been self-identified as safe with no safety studies. Once you designate that loophole, you do not have to submit the ingredient or safety studies to the FDA. And that loophole use has led to the FDA not knowing what's in our food. It could be 2,000 ingredients, it could be 10,000. We don't know. There's
Well, at least they're doing their job keeping us safe. They're admitting they don't know. They're all actors. Here's Bobby Kennedy Jr. Here's a new TV show, the Real Food Show. And so they're literally showing you their actors here. And he's letting you know on his show here, what's it called? How to make a perfect omelet for $5. And so at least he's not pumping a Ozempic today. They say how to make a classic French omelet and fresh side salad, all for under $5 per serving. And you can watch that on his YouTube channel, because they're actors and it's all fake bullshit. But there you go. Maha, the Real Food Show. Continuing here. Medicare for all would save Americans as much as $40 trillion over 10 years if it was implemented well. The More Perfect Union says. That's what Democrats and left-wingers and all these people that want Medicare for all, you got to get through your head that, yeah, this Rockefeller medicine system is good at trauma care. The rest of it, forget about it. You don't want care from them. So this whole Medicare for all, that's where it falls flat for me. I do understand the system's designed to get you sick and bankrupt you and then terminate you, i.e. Rockefeller medicine, but calling to get free healthcare or whatever, taxpayer funded, whatever, Medicare for all is not going to solve any of that, right? I guess it'll solve you from going bankrupt, but you're still going to get the same old Rockefeller medicine subsidized by U.S. taxpayers when you get Medicare for all. And by the way, I'm paying in Social Security my whole life. I haven't seen jack squat, and I don't want it. Honestly, I want trauma care. If I'm dying, stitch me up. If I get in a car wreck, stitch me up. The rest of it, save it. And miracle up the rest of the fools out there. I'll stay at home. The White House is just rubbing in her face. Don't be a panicking here with the this meme over the weekend. There's 60 grams of protein in not being a panicking, by the way. It's so funny. It's so funny we can't afford groceries. No panicins at the bottom of the pyramid, upside down, they tell us, out of the White House. Well, they can lie and cheat and steal only for so long. U.S. 30-year Treasury yields hit 5.3% for the first time since the run-up to the global financial crisis. And so warning signs are flashing red here now that the U.S. economy is not in a healthy position. You can see it right there. Here's a little graph, river on the X. Here is where 40 trillion in national debt came from. We're almost at 40 trillion. Not quite there yet, but we'll be there probably in a week and a half, something like that. U.S. federal debt increase by president. You can see Obama spent a lot, Biden spent a lot. Add up Trump 1 and 2, and that's more than Obama. Probably not more than them both, but you can see right there, just going hog wild. A little less than halfway through Trump's second term, and he'll surpass Biden here, I'm sure. But a little bit, you can see right there how these fiscal conservative Bush and Trump have just destroyed the U.S. economy, the value of the dollar, with never-ending spending from the U.S. federal government. Workers' share of national income hits a record low. Economist Justin Wolfer says only 54.4 cents of every dollar generated in the U.S. economy now goes to workers through wages and benefits, the lowest share in data extending to the Great Depression, 1929. Everything's wonderful in the golden age. We love aardvark land. So I don't know what else you want out of life. You get $50 off of Ozempic at trumprx.gov. Don't worry about eating. Just inject synthetic Gila monster venom to paralyze your stomach. Continuing here, he says that helps explain why record stock market and corporate profits do not feel like prosperity to workers. The gains flow largely to asset owners. The top 10% receive about 4/5 of positive capital income, while the top 1% take more than half. Wolfers estimates a 5-point drop in labor share equals roughly $10,000 less in annual wages per average worker than if the share had remained stable. He points to giant firms that grow sales faster than payroll, globalization, and weakened worker bargaining power. Technology raises productivity, but power determines whether workers own or owners capture the gains. AI could help workers do more and earn more, or automate skilled tasks and leave fewer people in precarious jobs. Wolfers asked anyone declaring the economy is booming, who you working for? And then here's the K-shaped curve here now. The K-shaped curve. The K-shaped economy explained. The economy is not going up or down. It is doing both at the same time. The divergence is driven by one thing: asset ownership. The top 10% own 93% of all stocks. The bottom 50% own 1%. Same economy, two completely different outcomes. You can see right there on the stock ownership, the asset owners and the non-asset owners right there. S&P at all-time highs, home prices plus 50%, wealth compounding going up the K curve there. And then on the downside, non-asset owners, homes cost 5 to 7 times income, rent plus 30% since 2020, falling further behind. Everything is wonderful in the golden age of Trump's economy. In the circle jerk keeping up the market in large part here now, NVIDIA has agreed to provide a more than $100 billion backstop for massive new OpenAI data center in Ohio, according to the Financial Times. Details include NVIDIA will provide credit support for the land, power, and shelf for the facility, capped at $105 billion. The data center is being developed alongside a SoftBank-led energy companies. NVIDIA will also invest $1.5 billion into SB Energy, an energy company founded as part of the SoftBank Group in 2019. OpenAI plans to lease as much as 8 gigawatts of AI computing power at the data center in Pike County, Ohio, which will take until 2032 to complete. This will mark one of the largest AI infrastructure deals yet. And here's a great meme that Stock Duty posted underneath that report to show you how ridiculous it all is. Circular AI economy. NVIDIA backs the financing. Proposed guarantee: lenders lend up to $250 billion. $250 billion in finance goes to OpenAI. Builds Ohio data center. Build plus fill with GPUs. NVIDIA GPU sales. Cash comes home. GPU revenue back to NVIDIA. And you see right here, guarantee the loan, sell the chips, get paid, right across there. The circle jerk known as the U.S. markets here now in large part. It's just so ridiculous as we continue to report. Here now, Jensen Huang, the CEO there of NVIDIA, put out a big old post rationalizing, essentially selling, right? Selling more of this fraud. I'll spare you reading it. But yeah, they know that the game's almost up, and they're doing lying, cheating, and stealing, anything and everything to keep this fraud train going. JP Morgan on AI financing. Here's another useful chart posted by Unusual Whales. You can see here again how it's working here. The circle jerk of AI data center build-outs. OpenAI, they'll lend some money here. They lend it back on agreement, financing it off the back of their orders. You can see right there. And also AMD, the other chip maker, Microsoft, Oracle, hyperscalers, Amazon, Google, Meta, hyperscalers, the AI, Anthropic, OpenAI, XAI, CoreWeave, NeoCloud. And it's just all this incestuous relationship keeping this giant Ponzi scheme going, known as the AI hyperscaler build out, and AI is taking over the world. It's a giant Ponzi scheme here now as we continue to report. NVIDIA gets paid up front. The borrowers and their lenders carry the default risk. And because private credit is ultimately funded by ordinary savers through instruments like pension funds, the tail risk lands on households, according to the BI there. Big short investor Steve Isman has said that the artificial intelligence boom has become increasingly dependent on the fortunes of just two companies, OpenAI and Anthropic, according to a headline out of CNBC. Ray Dalio, big financial economist dude out there, saying that he sees the classic signs of a bubble with AI, says the stock market looks like the run up to 2029 or the year 2000, i.e. the Great Depression and the internet.com boom bust there. 23 million Americans aged 18 to 29 are living with family, the highest number since the 1940s following the Great Depression, according to Bloomberg. It's all wonderful. Stop drinking Starbucks and you could have a freaking brand new house too, we're told. Water privatization. They're rolling out plans to go ahead and privatize water. It's been reported for a long time. Water is the new gold, as these oligarchs never thirst for more accumulation of natural resources. Here's we'll play a little bit of this clip, the privatization of water.
The challenge that we have today is when I have a senior citizen call me and tell me she's peeing in the backyard because her water bill and her sewer bill doubled, and no one cared about that.
Across the country, private companies are swooping in to buy water and sewer systems from the local governments that own them. The result for customers? Skyrocketing bills more than double what they used to be at a time when inflation is hitting Americans' wallets hard.
The motive for investor-owned utilities is profit, revenue, and that's what matters. It's not water quality, it's not reliability, it's not whether the customers are happy, it's not your neighbor, it's just a money-making machine.
What the hell happened to the idea of public utilities? I guess it's all out the window with private equity trying to get richer. And to hell with you, Granny, pee in the backyard. We may have a drone spy you and bust you for indecent exposure, by the way, and take in that fine money as well. Amazing. But hey, Trump's bragging the biggest prescription drug price deflation in generations. Don't do the drugs, kids. They don't have much to brag on out of the White House. don't do their drugs, kids, if at all possible. Don't do their drugs. Thanks to the Trump administration and Trump RX, prescription drug prices are plummeting. Promises made, promises kept. Huh. Maybe don't do their Rockefeller medicine drugs in the first place. Just saying, if at all possible. More of the actors here. They're just straight up actors. They roll out actors. Here's Dennis Quaid, right? And so they just roll out actors.
F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. I'm joined today by my good friend, actor, and patient advocate, Dennis Quaid. Today we're announcing bold new actions by the Trump administration to improve care, accelerate research, and speed innovation for Americans living with Lyme disease, with alpha-gal syndrome, and other tick-borne diseases. Too many Americans spend months or even years searching for answers. Too many are misdiagnosed.
I agree with all that. I hope those people suffering from that can get some type of relief. I have my doubts it's going to come from the government. But they're again showing you they're actors. I don't know. Closed down lab. What is it? 157 there. Just saying. Australia to start rollout of H5 bird flu miracles for native species in a bid to limit the spread of bird flu outbreak, starting with 5,000 plus fairy penguins, each receiving 2 separate doses. News 24 report. I'm sure that won't cause another giant outbreak. We can't seem to leave nature alone. The mad scientists were not happy enough with the bat times. They're working on trying to create a issue here with the birds as we continue to see trying to gin up some type of public health scare. My gosh, you people need to be afraid of the air. Tech layoffs this year have already flown past all of last year, 2025. 2025 was a bad year for tech workers with 122,606 jobs lost, but less than 8 months into this year, 2026, the number is already higher at 125,759 tech jobs lost so far this year. Young people really don't trust the tech bro oligarchs. I don't know why. They're a bunch of freaking commies, right? Of course you would trust technocracy, the Technate, the Greater North America Project. Why wouldn't you trust them? They just want to camera up everybody's rear end, implant a brain chip into you at birth, and 24-hour surveillance. What's there not to trust? It's all for our safety. New polling shows that among adults aged 18 to 34, 81% don't trust Alex Karp. I don't know what could cause that. Him ranting and raving like a maniac all over the mainstream, saying that, he's looking to target analysts that down talk his stock price with fentanyl-laden drone attacks, amongst other psychotic breaks he's had in mainstream interviews. I don't know what could cause the distrust. 79% don't trust Peter Thiel. He doesn't even trust himself for that matter. Moving in large part his family to Argentina to dodge the surveillance dystopia he's helped create here in America. 71% don't trust Mark Zuckerberg. Well, that's a damn sin. 70% don't trust Elon Musk, and 69% don't trust Sam Altman. I don't know why. They want you to look in that, get your biometrics to get world coin crypto to go ahead and build out the profile they already have on everybody a little bit more with an iris scan. What's there not to like? Allegations by his sister that he had inappropriate sexual relations all growing up with her. What's there not to like about these guys? They're not creepy freakazoid transhumanists that believe they're going to merge with machines and live forever. What's not to like about these guys? running never-ending scam schemes and fraud jobs on the American people. Missouri House has AI already taken over government? It looks like in some part, at least, it's taken over the Missouri House of Representatives. Missouri House members recently released a framework demanding transparency from AI companies. When asked if they made the document itself with AI, they denied it. But after an investigation by local news there, NBC5 revealed the framework was, in fact, written by ChatGPT. Let's watch a little bit of this short report out of Missouri. We already have AI running the government.
Missouri lawmakers wrote a guide to help your town ask AI companies hard questions. When we asked the lawmakers a hard question, whether AI wrote their guide, they said no. The guide itself says otherwise.
Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, has been digging into this one with an assist from our technology department. Mark?
Yeah, Mike and Kelly, lawmakers came to Lindenwood today to hand out this 14 pages, all meant to help your town negotiate with AI companies. Pretty useful stuff. It also has an oddly familiar layout, identical sections, bracketed blanks, the file name even. I've seen thousands of government documents, and this just didn't look like one. What large language model AI did you use to format it?
We did not use a large language model AI for that.
I put all these into two different AI and asked the span to identify. They have a 95% degree of certainty that AI drafted and formatted this document. You're saying that's wrong?
That's wrong. No.
House Republican Mike Koslow challenged the method I used to check my hunch. He wasn't entirely wrong.
The idea that we take a document like that, wrote this, run it through AI, and say, hey, was this AI generated? And the AI comes back and says, the format looks familiar. I think that is quite a stretch.
Fair point. AI detectors just guess, but documents don't. So I took the file itself to Jeff Bailey, KSDK's head of technology, for a closer look at the metadata.
Ah, there we go.
Under it.
Author OpenAI.
What does that tell you?
It was authored by OpenAI.
That's the parent company of ChatGPT.
So they just lie. I mean, yeah, you're busted, dude. You had AI write your framework for transparency for AI companies and then lie to the public about it. It's just ridiculous. These clowns calling themselves government. NASDAQ plans an overnight trading session from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern time because the casino's not open long enough, apparently, for the gambling addicts out there. Solidifying our firepower. This critical investment will accelerate Tomahawk missile delivery to our warfighters at unprecedented speed and ensure our fleet is equipped with overwhelming American power. So while you and I struggle to put food on the table, Raytheon is making out like bandits here, as per usual for the military-industrial complex. Department of War announces $22.9 billion contract with Raytheon, accelerates production of Tomahawk missiles. That's very exciting for Raytheon. Trump-backed World Liberty Financials collaborating with a Hong Kong AI venture that offers AI models built by Alibaba, Baidu, ZAI, and other Chinese firms the Trump administration says pose national security risks. It's almost like they engineer the AI Cold War with China, scare the hell out of everybody, say they're national security risks, they're going to hack everything and take over backhandedly. Trump's World Liberty Financial is in bed with the Chinese who are going to hack America. Huh. Here's a flashback mashup video from the hotspot on the X. They say Supercut of Trump's official saying, short-term pain, long-term gain, from 160 days ago, as we're now on day 170 of the Iran war.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term. Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
Short-term. Short-term. Short-term and long-term.
Short-term.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefit.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
Again, one of the simplest forms of mind control is repetition. You could see all these clown actors reading off a script, saying the same thing, trying to control your mind. That's why you tune into Weaponized News, to break the mind control. Here's another flashback mashup clip put out by Hotspot on the X. Trump in 2024, gasoline will be back at $2 and maybe even less than that. Trump in 2026, for you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline, you're at $4. It's okay. I'll never apologize.
We will become energy independent shortly after, but start also on day one, drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring your electric prices way down. We're going to bring your energy prices way down. Gasoline will be back to $2 and maybe even less than that. So I just say this. So for you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline, just remember, you're doing it so that a very evil country cannot have, a country really, it's the #1 state sponsor of terror in the world. We don't want to have them have a nuclear weapon. So remember that when you have to pay a little bit more, you're at $4. It's okay. I mean, it's, I'll never apologize. I did the right thing. But you could, you know, if you didn't have.
What a load of shit. Remember that when you can't afford groceries for your family. Trump portfolio tracker in May. This is a report out of Unusual Wells. In May, we recreated Trump's top 20 holdings on autopilot so anyone could invest alongside him. 3 months later, it just crossed 2 million of capital invested. Here's what he owns and possible conflicts of interest. Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, i.e. the CIA, gave $45 million to pro-Trump nonprofit. Dell told Trump told Americans to go buy Dell. Motorola Solutions won a $16 million ICE radio contract. Microsoft signed a $3.1 billion discount deal with Trump's GSA. NVIDIA, Trump personally cut the China chip revenue deal. General Motors, Trump killed the EV penalties GM used to pay. The portfolio is still live, and you can track it at Unusual Whales. I'll post a link at Weaponized News Substack. Yeah, the merger of corporate and fascist, or corporate and state interest, is fascism. That's what we have going on here now. Corporate fascist government. MAGA seems to love it. You're not profiting. I don't know why you would love it, but the brainwashing and mind control, watching all that Fox News rots your brain. You got brain rot. Grow up, people. I know our audience knows this, but I'm just saying in general, It's ridiculous at this point to support anything this criminal government does, and anybody that works for them, for that matter. AAA national average for the price of a gallon of gasoline is $4.06 today. You can see it right there above the $4 threshold. We did go down a little bit. We went down a little bit. Maybe we didn't. Yesterday? Yeah, we went down a little bit, a half a cent from yesterday there. Day 170 of the Iran war rages on. Brown University, Iran war energy cost tracker here now. I can get the page to load. We're now up above $86.4 billion total consumer burden since the beginning of the Iran war on February 28, 2026. And you could see per U.S. household cost burden spread across both gasoline and diesel now up to $659.58. You can see it right there. And I believe this is an underestimate, actually. I believe it's even higher than this. Did you know? I didn't know. U.S. Central Command posted earlier today. Did you know that the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility spans over 4 million square miles in 21 countries? It is populated by more than 460 million people from dozens of ethnic groups speaking more than 20 languages. Who knew? But upon rereading the Constitution, it says right there, we're police of the world as mandated by George Washington, right? So here's that. I'm slow loading going on. I wanted to give you a little bit. There you go. You can see that meme from U.S. Central Command. Yeah, we're police of the world. Isn't it wonderful there? Strait of Hormuz, what is going on there? U.S. Central Command posted earlier today, U.S. Navy MH-60 Seahawk hovers over the flight deck of USS Madison as the ship enforces America's steel wall blockade against Iran. As of today, CENTCOM forces have redirected 64 commercial vessels, disabled 3, and boarded 2 to ensure compliance. And we have these badass helicopters with big guns saying, do what we say or we shoot you in the face. There, enforcing the steel wall blockade against Iran. Very intimidating indeed. Trump has once again claimed control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran rejects these claims. Iran says they control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has reportedly seized a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. According to Iranian media, the Emirati tanker was taken under control by the IRGC. Previous reports indicate the ship to have been disabled. If it was boarded, then this represents a much bigger event. I think we had another report on that. But to give us an idea here, it's the map. So again, very bad neighborhood there. Iran and America pointing big guns in everybody's face. If you try to drive through here, you may be shot in the face by either side or both sides. Or maybe no one if you just pay off the ransom. Saudi Arabia has reportedly begun offering crude oil sales off the coast of Oman, signaling a strategic maneuver to shuttle more barrels beyond the choke point of the Strait of Hormuz. Bloomberg reports. State energy giant Saudi Aramco is facilitating ship-to-ship crude transfers from offshore locations, including Sohar in the Gulf of Oman. According to sources familiar with the matter, the offerings focus on Arab medium and Arab heavy grades, a clear indication that the oil originates inside Persian Gulf fields before being shuttled past the strategic maritime corridor. They're trying to figure out some way to get the oil out of there. Iran stopped the Arma, a Liberian-flagged, Indian-owned oil products tanker, while it was following Tehran's designated route through the Strait of Hormuz with its AIS tracking signal switched on. Energy journalist Javier Blas reports the 45,000-ton vessel is not part of the UAE shuttle fleet conducting covert crossings near Oman and is roughly 1/8 the size of a typical oil super tanker. They're trying to do something to get the oil flowing there. U.S. strategic oil reserves another 5.3 million barrels of Brent tops $90, and Iran reportedly seizes a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve dropped to 293.4 million barrels as of August 14th. Was that Friday or Thursday? Down 5.3 in a week, and its lowest since 1983, according to Department of Energy data. The draw is part of the Department of Energy's planned 172 million barrel release. The reserve has shedded about 122 million barrels since the beginning of the Iran war. Washington keeps tapping the reserve because Iran's disruption of the Strait of Hormuz is still choking oil flows. Trump told us, I thought we run the Strait of Hormuz. We're making it U.S. territory. That's what Trump has said. Apparently, that's simply not the case on the ground. Brent crude has surged back up above $90 a barrel, up around 30% since the MOU with Iran collapsed and the conflict has re-escalated. And we're looking for potential hard escalation in the near future, per saber rattling by Iran. Now, USS Benfold, a guided missile destroyer, lost all power for 4 days in the South China Sea after a generator failure on July 24th. The crew of roughly 300 had no working toilets, air conditioning, kitchen, or water systems in extreme heat. The ship drifted powerless until tugboats towed it into Subic Bay, Philippines, where power was restored. 6 days later, another warship in the carrier group had to provide cooked meals. It's the second U.S. destroyer to suffer a power failure in the Indo-Pacific this year, according to a report out of CNN. Little geopolitical news here. Norway's king, Herod V, Herod V, I guess it would be, right? Herod V, V is 5 in Roman numerals. Yeah. He's 89 years old, is hospitalized on 2 weeks sick leave after cortisone treatment for hemolytic anemia. Hemothelic anemia causes fluid buildup in his body, says the palace there out of Norway. This why do they all look like Bond villains? Probably because they all are Bond villains, right? All these European elites, from Klaus Schwab to this guy to all the other royalty, a bunch of clown world evil men. You can just see in their appearance. But we wish him a full and quick recovery there at the age of 89. Financial Times reports on UAE trained mercenaries carrying out a genocide in Sudan. One mercenary said, while GSSG is a private company. The training staff in the UAE appeared to be from the Emirati Army. Colombians there were separated into special units such as drone operators, anti-aircraft gun operators, and radar operators. Drone training in the UAE was provided by GSSG and Emiratis in military uniforms, he explained. Both he and another Colombian said they had trained at a base in Abu Dhabi, described by a UN panel of experts in 2021 as a military camp that had previously trained Sudanese mercenaries hired by a UAE company, Black Shield, under the supervision of UAE military officers. One fighter described the Emirati trainers, and another said he'd been trained by, quote, Arabs, but declined to provide further details. A big report here tying out of the Financial Times tying the UAE to genocide there in Sudan via, in some cases, the use of Colombian mercenaries. Russia sentences opposition leader to 11 years for condemning the Ukrainian war. A Russian court sentenced Lev Sholzberg, deputy chairman of the liberal Yabloko party, to 11 years in a penal colony for discrediting the military and allegedly spreading false information after he criticized Russia's war with Ukraine. In his closing statement during the hearing, Schlossberg demanded an immediate ceasefire and called the war a catastrophe for Russia. One day, the entire nation will shudder at the list of martyrs from the conflict. The sentence comes a week after Russia's Supreme Court barred his political party from the country's only registered anti-war party from next month's parliamentary elections. Former Ukrainian Minister of Defense Fedorov says the next stage of the war will be with robots and drones fighting each other, autonomous robots and drones, practicing Terminator scenarios for you and I in the near future. Why you should care, but don't care. Keep trusting in Trump. Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Fedorov, this dude said 3 to 6 months, Ukrainian ballistic missiles will hit Russia.
We need to destroy Russian ballistic launchers.
Ukraine will have its own ballistic missile soon. Do you believe that?
Of course, 100%, but we need time.
When do you think we'll see a Ukrainian ballistic missile hit a target in Russia?
Our ballistic missiles.
Your ballistic missiles.
3 to 6 months, I think.
3 to 6 months, a Ukrainian ballistic missile will hit Russia.
Yeah.
When you became minister,
we need to.
Well, that's going to make it that much worse. There's some Russia-Ukraine. What else? He went on to say, Elon Musk is probably the most important technological person and entrepreneur in the whole world for our country. After Elon Musk and SpaceX disabled Starlink for Russians who were using it illegally on the territory of our country, he essentially saved our air defense system, our aviation, and in general saved thousands of lives of our civilians. We are constantly in communication. Don't forget, Elon Musk, Mr. I'm going to save you from global warming with my battery-powered Tesla cars, is actually a giant military industrial complex contractor on corporate welfare. Russia's State Development Bank, VEB.RF, fired its chief economist, Andriy Kelpech, after his blunt assessment of the war went viral. In a speech, Kelpech warned, "We will not win the competition in this war of attrition. We have the illusion that everything there will collapse. It has not collapsed and will not." He said Russia is falling behind not only to China and the United States in some respects, we are losing it to Ukraine, and predicted a social crisis when no one particularly expects it, comparing it to the 1917 revolution and the collapse of the Soviet Union. The firing came one day after Russian media widely picked up the quotes. Sources from the Russian State Development Bank, when asked, said the call for his firing came from above. Ukraine has used British-made drones for the first time in deep strikes inside Russia, targeting oil refineries near Moscow, Yoroslav, Volgograd, and Belgorod. The reported use of British weapons marks a new phase in UK-Ukraine military cooperation and could prompt Russia to intensify hybrid attacks against the UK. And that's according to the UK Times there. And Russia has said, you hit us deep in Russia, long-range strikes from Ukraine. Lavrov and Putin, I believe we've reported on in the past, said we're going to take that as a direct strike from you, America. And I assume the same applies to UK. So we're going to see, as it appears, the war is escalating. Now, Ukraine has knocked out 7 of Wildberry's 7 of 10 Wildberry's largest logistics centers. In total, 21 of the top 30 warehouses of Russia's biggest e-commerce platform have been struck by drones. And again, that's equivalent of America's Amazon. They're bombing the hell out of their Wildberries logistics and warehouse facilities that are in Russia. Hey, we all need to get one of these vans now, as the encroaching scientific dictatorship technocracy, i.e. Terminator was a documentary, is coming to fruition here now. And we just saw former defense minister of Ukraine said they're going to have automated, and they're doing it now, but automated autonomous robot battles. With that coming in the very near future, Russian forces strapped mirrored panels onto a van as a makeshift countermeasure against drones that use optical or AI-guided targeting. Here's the van. We may have to equip our vehicles with this method in the very near future.
Я себе машину из 3 букв взял, новую.
Какую, BMW?
Нет, эта машина лучше, чем BMW. Где ты? Давай заберу тебя.
Давай заберу тебя. Я прокачу тебя.
Алло, я себе машину.
Russians innovating as drone attacks increase there. Russia's built at least 10 new drone bases with 59 launch rails near its borders with Belarus and Ukraine, according to the UK Telegraph investigation. Using satellite imagery and leaked documents, the bases can deploy increasingly advanced long-range drones, some capable of reaching Poland raising concerns that Moscow could threaten NATO infrastructure in the near future. Several sites are already being used against Ukraine while Russia continues expanding its drone launch capacity. Man, we need to bring this thing to an end. All signs are looking like it's going to further escalate. Stop killing each other in Russia, Ukraine, man. It's horrific. Things aren't going great in Moscow following Ukraine attacks. Here's 2 videos. These are attacks from Ukraine deep inside Russia, Moscow. Let's take a look at some of these clips. Ongoing attacks that are deep inside Russia. It's taking a toll, man. It's taking a heavy toll. Ukraine's population has dropped 45% since independence. Jumping in bed with Lindsey Graham and old McCain in America has taken a toll on Ukraine here now. From 52 million population to around 29 million living in Ukraine control, or excuse me, Kiev controlled territory. I guess you could call it Ukraine controlled territory. And nearly 7 million are refugees abroad. The number wanting to return has fallen to below 50% for the first time. The country loses an estimated 100,000 to 150,000 people monthly to long-term immigration. Far more important than battlefield casualties, birth rates have hit a record low of 0.9 children per woman, with deaths nearly 3 times higher than births. One demographer put it this way: there will never be 52 million of us again. We need to plan around 30 million. A heavy toll there Ukraine is paying for this relationship with America, NATO. Forces aligned with Yemen's Saudi-backed government say they are intensifying drone and artillery attacks on Nasrallah's positions across western Yemen, i.e. the Houthis' positions there. The attacks follow Nasrallah's claimed drone strike on a weapons depot and ballistic missile attack on vessels that are near the Strait of Hormuz. Casualty figures have not been released, and the battlefield claims have not yet been independently verified. They did put out a video. I'll spare you because we don't have independent confirmation, and it's all in Arabic. Yemen's Nasrallah says it attacked 2 positions used by Saudi-backed forces. There's a war going on right now between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis there in Yemen. Yemen Armed Forces spokesman said drone struck a weapons depot near Shan al-Jian camp, setting it ablaze. So yeah, they're shooting some ballistic missiles back and forth there. The Houthis targeted the Indonesian flagged cargo ship LCT Amar Khan 1468 while it was docked at the same wharf in the Bab al-Mandab Strait, southern Yemen. they had previously struck, alleging the vessel was carrying Saudi military equipment. You can see right here in these images put out in that report, they whacked that ship, claiming it was transporting Saudi military assets. Saudi Arabia removed the sentence, quote, Muslims will never give up Jerusalem from its grade 11 Arabic textbook. It's part of a broader curriculum change trending under Vision 2030 out of Saudi Arabia, which has also replaced Zionist enemy with aardvark land occupation in their textbooks to try to soften the blow of hate against the Zionist regime there. Brainwashing the youth of Saudi Arabia. We do appreciate their efforts in that regard. Department of War orders research scrutiny audits at 30 academic institutions. The Department of War has issued formal notifications to 30 domestic academic institutions directing them to initiate immediate and comprehensive reviews of their academic, financial, and research collaborations with foreign entities of concern. The Department of War has zero tolerance for academic partnerships that compromise our national security, Undersecretary of Department of War Michael said in a statement earlier today. Institutions that receive funding from American taxpayers must uphold the highest standards of research security, and these mandated audits will ensure accountability across the board. Universities are critical partners in executing a wide range of Department of War research programs, and the department must therefore ensure that our research investments are well protected from foreign exploitation. Assistant Secretary of War for Science and Technology, Jewell, said, throughout these audits, the Department of War will better anticipate emerging threats, adapt to evolving adversarial tactics, and maintain America's position as a global leader in innovation. The department is pursuing this effort alongside partners in Congress, together with the House and Senate Armed Services Committees, the House and Senate Appropriations Committees, and the House Select Committee on Chinese Communist Party. The department continues to build a robust research ecosystem that protects critical discoveries from exploitation. The Department of War said in a statement earlier today. And then here's Donald Trump. Meme diplomacy through memes? No, he's just a goofball. Hey, Donald, we cool, right? Of course, Kim Jong-un. And that's on the back of this report. Trump posted this yesterday. Based on my very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, I am happy with the fact that the United States has long ago agreed to participate in joint military exercises with South Korea. These exercises are not only costly, with much of these costs paid for by the United States of America as usual, but send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that, as long as Donald J. Trump has been president, has been unthreatening and respectful. Again, signs of mental illness, referring to yourself in a third person there. Therefore, and based on the fact that it is too late to cancel, I've instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce the joint military exercises. While somewhat unrelated, I recently asked the president of South Korea if they would like to join us in the denuclearization of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they said no thanks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Human Rights Watch chief says we are living in a, quote, new world order, no longer governed by UN, the Security Council, treaties, norms, and laws, calls the U.S. sending migrants to Africa. It sends a message to scare off other migrants and is really inhumane treatment. A little bit about the, Panamaxing? Lethal, integrated, ready to strike, U.S. Southern Command says. And they put out a little video with a bunch of U.S. military forces with a bunch of big guns. So they've completed close quarters combat training with Marine Special Operations teams in Panama. And we've been reporting Panamaxing 2026. Directed operations and the president's priorities to disrupt illicit drug trafficking, detour malignant actors, and protect the homeland through continuous presence there. Report by U.S. Southern Command as the drug war in Mexico, Central, and South America is raging. One team, one mission. Inside the brief, U.S. Marines stand shoulder to shoulder with partners from Mexico, Panama, and Ecuador during security drills brief August 7, 2026 as part of exercise Panamax in Panama. Here's the image posted by U.S. Southern Command from those Panamax 26 training exercises. Multinational defense and security forces are trained together during the Panamanian-hosted Panamax exercise held in Panama, and the United States exercise is strengthening the collective capability of regional forces to safeguard the Panama Canal and maintain security and stability in the Western Hemisphere for aardvark supremacy purposes, of course. They left that part out of the briefing there. But hey, we're the good guys. U.S. assistance to Colombia for earthquake relief continues today. U.S. Central Command tells us today the U.S. Air Force C-17 Global Master 3 delivered more life-saving assistance and supplies to the earthquake-devastated and hard-hit communities in Colombia. I don't know what they do without us. Maybe we should bomb them. Just saying. No, never mind. They got a puppet Zionist president there in Colombia. All is well. U.S. Defense CEO fired over sex scandal. Shocking, I know. I thought they had the highest of ethics. His first was on a private jet. Chris Kubasik holds a dubious distinction in the war industry. He's been forced out of 2 CEO roles over personal misconduct. Strike one, 2012, as Lockheed Martin's CEO-elect. Weeks from taking the top job, he was busted for a sexual relationship with a subordinate. Shocking, with a man of such high ethics and ill repute to be caught in these sex scandals. Reports say he was caught in the act on a company jet. He was forced to resign immediately, but still pocketed $3.5 million in severance pay. His downfall landed on the same day CIA Director David Petraeus resigned over his own affairs. Strike two this year, 2026. Somehow the war industry gave him another shot because he's good at killing people. I mean, that's really all that matters. He climbed back to become chairman and CEO of L3 Harris Technologies, one of the largest war contractors in America. Today, they forced him out again for conduct not consistent with company values. This time, the board showed no mercy, zero severance, zero benefits, no golden parachute. The company won't specify what happened, but the pattern is hard to ignore. Same man, same type of scandal, two of America's biggest war contractor companies, 14 years apart. No, he just got a raw deal, I'm sure. These aardvarks, they're out of control, if you didn't already know. A 35-year-old aardvark tourist was arrested in Crete, Greece for neglect arson. They have a thing for poisoning the well and arson. We're noticing a continuing theme here at Weaponized News. This aardvark tourist, after lighting a barbecue at a rental villa in Salia, Greece, despite explicit warnings from the owner and an island-wide burn ban, wind carried embers into dry vegetation, sparking a wildfire that took over 60 firefighters and helicopters 4 hours to contain. Any criticism of it, and you're a hateful bigot. Aardvark tourists threatened staff of Icelandic cafe owned by Palestinian refugee over pre-1948 Palestinian map, accused owners of promoting genocide before attempting to rip map off the wall and causing damage, then launched negative review campaign against the 5-star rated business. Here's video of this incident. I don't know why people have a bad attitude toward aardvarks. It's like they run around the world saying we're above the law, God's chosen people, and act a fool wherever we are. Don't be an antiseptic, because it's something bad allegedly happened with wood doors that's been debunked back in World War II days.
You have multiple languages in general. What in our country? It's my country. It's our country also. Both sides, one,
Yeah, it's fine. Vandalized dude's business there for having a map of Palestine pre-1948. Bibi Netanyahu's up for re-election here now. The most corrupt man in the world, facing corruption, bribery charges there in Aardvark land. I know it's hard to imagine. Him and Trump are competing for the most corrupt man in the world. Don't let them win. Here's a Millet campaign poster there in Aardvark land. Don't let them win. Funny, he's campaigning against the mayor of New York, the freaking president of Turkey, Erdogan, right? Mamdani Erdogan, the Hezbollah dude, and Khomeini. He's campaigning against them. Says, don't let them win. Huh? None of them are running in the election against you, Millet. Aardvark land Prime Minister Millet Bibi Netanyahu, Likud party, put out that campaign billboard. They want Netanyahu to lose. Don't let them win. It says there in language. Funny, he's not even running against any of those guys. Who knew? Aardvark land attacks shake South Lebanon every 1 or 2 hours. Reporting from Press TV, Iranian state TV correspondent Hadi Hatit said explosions, demolitions, and artillery fire were being heard every 1 to 2 hours yesterday morning across southern Lebanon. And here he is reporting on the ground from a pile of rubble right here.
Joining us from South Lebanon to bring us up to speed on the latest Hadi Hotate.
Leveling the whole place. Aardvark land expands overnight attacks across 5 southern Lebanon districts just in the last 24 hours, let's just say. Aardvark land forces carried out strikes, artillery shelling, and demolitions across Nabith, Jazin, Marjian, Tyre, Benjil, extending the assault across much of southern Gaza overnight. It's an ongoing demolition campaign. Aardvark land military claims battle of wits unfolding at Ali Tahir. The battle of wits is unfolding between Hezbollah and Aardvark land forces around strategic Ali Tahir bridge in southern Lebanon. Right here, the battle of wits, they're calling it here now, trying to take control of Al Tahir Hills bridge there. Oh, they're already past the Litani River. Remember, they said, we're taking it all to the Litani. Oh, they're well past that now. Yeah, Battle of Wits. We just covered that. U.S. blames Hezbollah for Aardvark land occupation after Aardvark land kills 11 in Lebanon. Hezbollah's fault, obviously. Aardvark land strikes killed 11 Lebanese, including 3 children, and wounded 19 others across southern Lebanon on Saturday, 2 days ago. The U.S. State Department placed full responsibility of Aardvark land's presence on Lebanese territory on Hezbollah, according to comments a spokesperson gave to Aardvark land outlet I-24 News. This is precisely why Hezbollah must be disarmed and dismantled, the State Department spokesman said, calling it the main obstacle to Lebanon's economic recovery, the only blemish on its international reputation, and the greatest threat to the country's security and stability. Washington said it would continue supporting the U.S. brokered framework signed by Beirut and Tel Aviv in June, calling its pilot zones process the only viable path to lasting peace, which is give them all your land or die. Here's a family. They wiped out this whole Lebanese family here. Tragically enough, Aardvark land killed all 6 members of the Hassan family, mother, father, and 4 children in their home in Assur, southern Lebanon. And what was that? This was Friday, I believe. And they tell us, well, Hezbollah did that. Well, Hezbollah actually didn't do that. Aardvark's whacked that whole family. Tragically enough, no longer on this planet. The demolition campaign continues there. Aardvark land detonates Lebanese village. Huge explosions heard in Bar Achit. Here's some still images of the ongoing demolition campaign there, southern Lebanon. Earlier today, Aardvark land airstrikes on Montessori, southern Lebanon. Right here, if we can get the video to load. Apologies for that. I guess we'll skip that one. We got more. There's more. Don't worry. Here's some, instead of blowing it up, I'll just share it as we're having video issues. Local residents of southern Lebanon village of Banai Hayyan tell the Cradles media correspondent that Aardvark land occupation forces continue to target residential homes in the village. They are burning homes, demolishing private property, including agricultural land, and destroying everything in their path, the source revealed. You can see right there evidence of those attacks right there. More breaking major attacks on southern Lebanon by Aardvark land. Here's some images from that Ali Al-Tahir Hill. Some major bombings going on there. You can see the aftermath. Yeah. A few more here. Earlier today, Kafur Rumon, southern Lebanon. Aardvark forces dropped incendiary devices. There's an ongoing systemic arson campaign. More reports over the weekend of white phosphorus use as well in southern Lebanon. All illegal, all war crimes. Who cares? Don't be a bigoted hater of evil, as we're told now. The demolition campaign here, you could see the destruction of residential homes using bulldozers and tanks. Right there. And right there with the tanks leveling southern Lebanon. Lebanon's death toll from Aardvark land attacks since March this year has hit 4,346 dead Lebanese. Lebanon's Ministry of Health said yesterday the toll from Aardvark land attacks since March 2nd had risen to 4,346 killed Lebanese and 12,301 wounded after one of the deadliest days since the fake ceasefire framework was agreed upon in late June. 11 people, including 3 children, were killed Saturday in Aardvark land strikes across southern Lebanon, the highest single death toll since the fake ceasefire was agreed to. There's ceasefire, nothing to worry about, but stacking kids' bodies right over there, bro. Ben Gvir calls for killing 30 to 40 Palestinians in Gaza every night, including people who don't pose any threat. Aardvark land National Security Minister, vying for most evil man in the world title, Ben Gvir publicly called for killing 30 to 40 Palestinians in Gaza every night in comments on a podcast that surfaced on the internet Saturday. I think targeted assassinations should be carried out in Gaza, taking down 30 to 40 every night, Gvir said, criticizing Aardvark land's recent drawdown of strikes, not just those who pose an immediate threat. There are people there who are not worthy of life. They shouldn't live. They're not people, he said. The nightly rate he describes as a goal is one Aardvark land already surpassed for 2 years, from October 7, 2023 to October 2025 ceasefire, which is a fake ceasefire. Gaza's Ministry of Health recorded roughly 72,000 Palestinians killed, an average of about 100 a day. Independent researchers estimate the true toll is at least over a third higher than that. Lancet found the Ministry of Health reported toll for several months earlier in the war was at least 60% undercount. A lot more dead than we're even hearing. The 60, what is it, above 63,000 now total there in Gaza, genocide. And yeah, it's a lot higher than that, tragically enough. In the same appearance, Ben Gvir backed settling Gaza and expelling its population, telling the host, "I see all of Gaza as ours." The minister runs Aardvarkland's prisons and police, and his once fringe views are surging before Aardvarkland's October 27th elections. And here they are, but it's all in, and we do have English. I'll save you because they need to clear their throat continually for us to be able to understand what they're saying. I gave you the summation there. Prominent UAE billionaire Khalif Al Habtour, who championed the Abraham Accords, is now questioning normalization with Aardvarkland after Ben Gvir called for killing 30 to 40 Palestinians nightly, saying they are not worthy of life. If an official in the Aardvarkland government can speak this way openly, how can we be asked to speak of peace, negotiations, and coexistence, he wrote. Well, he's a damn antiseptic hater. I mean, come on, dude. However, he stopped short of calling the UAE to suspend ties or impose sanctions on Aardvarkland. Well, strongly worded letter could certainly stop them. The UAE remains Aardvarkland's largest Arab trading partner at $3.2 billion in bilateral trade. Kushner and the rest of these thugs went over there. The Board of Genocide had a meeting. Here they are. Ari Lightstone, Board of Genocide Senior Advisor. Nikolay Medinov, Genocide Board High Representative. Jared Kushner, starter of wars. Their Trump advisor and Board of Genocide Executive Board member. Aardvarkland President Isaac Herzog, and far right Lorraine Tan Man, Board of Genocide Senior Advisor. Baghdad Butcher Tony Blair also attended the separate meeting with Milei Bibi Netanyahu, according to CNN. Kushner presses Milei Bibi Netanyahu to advance Gaza plan in 4-hour marathon meeting. Aardvarkland refuses, citing elections, according to a report out of CNN. U.S. envoy Jared Kushner pressed Aardvarkland Prime Minister Milei Bibi Netanyahu during a meeting that lasted more than 4 hours to advance Trump's stalled Gaza peace plan and not create obstacles. Bibi laughed in his face and said, "We'll do whatever we want. Don't be a bigot." No, I added that part, but that's essentially what it is every time here now, right? We do what we want, and if you don't listen, we shoot you in the face. Because they have elections to worry about, because he's running against the mayor of New York City and the supreme leader of Iran and the leader of Hezbollah, who he's not running against, but somehow he's running against them, according to his party's campaign propaganda billboards that are in Aardvarkland. We have our own relationship with Hamas. Trump tells the War Channel Fox News they're giving up their guns. Trump tells Fox News that the U.S. has a different channel with Hamas and that Aardvarkland should not be striking Gaza right now, but they are. And so it's tragically laughable as the genocide continues. So don't believe a word that line Trump has to say, or maybe even believes it. And aardvarks just laugh in his face. Either way, however you may see it, it's going on. They're genociding them. And Trump's full of shit. So there you go. Kushner on the War Channel, Fox News, more from his meeting with Hamas. He says they said all the right things, but obviously it's very, very hard to trust a terrorist organization that committed these terrible atrocities. He's not talking about aardvark government. He's talking about Hamas. Don't confuse them. We're going to give them a chance to perform, but it's going to have to be based on actions. Kushner backs continued aardvark land attacks as Gaza ceasefire death toll reaches 1,265. U.S. envoy Kushner said earlier today that even if Hamas surrenders its weapons, Washington is not going to restrict aardvark land's right to defend itself against what he called would-be imminent threats. So essentially signing off on the genocide to continue from his perch there at the board of genocide. Shocking, I know. 2 Palestinians were killed and several wounded yesterday as aardvark land attacks across Gaza in violation of the ceasefires continue. Isn't it every time there's going to be a peace talk, they either whack the negotiators or do a big attack to thwart any type of diplomatic peaceful leverage America has? We're noticing a trend here at Weaponized News. This is tragic right here, extremely. So here is a doctor there in Gaza describing having to do a leg amputation on a 5-year-old girl with no anesthetic.
I did a leg amputation on a 5-year-old girl, and the only anesthesia that we had was the anesthesia doctor singing to her. She didn't faint. We were praying for her to faint. She stayed awake the whole amputation. That was at 3 o'clock in the morning when the ceasefire broke. And the only thing I did before then was text message one of our U.S. senators and asked him to contact Trump because he had a cell phone and duplicate what Reagan did in 1982, calling him and begging him to please stop the bombing of Lebanon, that he could put a stop to this because the ER floor was filled with dozens of babies that were missing limbs or needed to be missing a limb.
But we're told any criticism of this and you're bad. Gaza Health Ministry, 2 Palestinians killed, 14 injured in the past 48 hours. Since the October ceasefire, which is, there's not a ceasefire, 1,262 Palestinians have been killed, 4,168 injured, 808 bodies recovered from the rubble. And since October 7th, 2023, the beginning of this most recent Palestinian genocide, 73,391 dead Palestinians, with 174,280 injured being reported by the Gaza Ministry of Health there. Settlers shoot and beat Palestinian families across the occupied West Bank yesterday. Reports coming out of Hebron, Qusor, Safa of ongoing attacks and a sharp escalation in ultra-Zionist settler violence in the occupied West Bank. Aardvark Land has ordered the evacuation of more than 70 Palestinian families in the city of Lud in Aardvark land, according to Wafa. Aardvark land authorities justified the orders under the pretext of seizing state lands. The city is famous in Palestinian history for being an ancient, thriving urban and commercial hub, including a vital aviation center and the site of the 1948 Lud death march and expulsion during the Nakba. Under the British mandate, it was also one of the most key railway junctions in the Middle East, connecting Jaffa, Jerusalem, and Cairo. The 1947 UN partition plan designated Lud a neighboring Ramallah to be part of a Palestinian state. But in July 1948, Aardvark forces captured the city and killed hundreds of Palestinian residents during the takeover, including inside local mosques. Aardvark land then forcibly expelled an estimated 70,000 residents and refugees, ordered to leave on foot within half an hour. The displaced population was driven toward Ramallah. Along the grueling route, dehydration, exhaustion, and heat caused hundreds of deaths, along with what is historically referred to by Palestinians as the Lud March of Death. Here it is on a map to give it an idea right there. The Lud March of Death. Palestinian Americans are being detained there in Aardvark land. Palestinian American man suspected detained by Aardvark land forces in the occupied West Bank. His family says Hassem Jabrin, a 46-year-old U.S. citizen from Pennsylvania, has been held by Aardvark land forces for more than 3 days without charges after troops raided his family home in Tuk, southeast of Bethlehem in the occupied West Bank on August 12th, according to a statement from his family. It's American. 1,000 days of torture in isolation for Palestinian prisoners. Palestinian prisoners have now endured 1,000 days of isolation in Aardvark land prisons, deprived of their rights and prevented from communicating with the outside world. The Palestinian Commission of Detainees and Ex-Detainees Affairs said yesterday. The commission said Aardvark land continues to prevent the International Committee of the Red Cross from visiting Palestinian detainees or examining the conditions in which they are being held. Rights groups and the United Nations have documented Aardvark land's systemic use of torture, including rape and sexual violence, in its network of torture prisons. The Pope calls for an end to violence against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. The Pope Leo the 14th, here now says, I renew my appeal for an end to ongoing violence against the Palestinian civilian population in the West Bank, and I urgently call on the international community to work toward advancing the two-state solution for a just and lasting peace. You haven't heard, Pope? They said, you're a bigot. F off. You know what I mean? It's the absurd level of where we're at. Another Palestinian American here now detained. I believe we reported on Friday about this case. Palestinian American, Saifi, a coalition of 102 faith, human rights, and civil rights organizations is urging Secretary of State Little Marco Rubio, Zionist puppet, to secure the immediate and permanent release of Sama Safi, a 20-year-old U.S. citizen and Bitchute University honor student with a severe chronic illness who has been held by Aardvarkland military forces since they raided her home in the occupied West Bank on June 2nd. So who knows what they're doing to this Palestinian American young lady in their torture prisons. Where are you at, State Department? Little Marco Rubio? No American left behind, we're told. And then final story of the day here, and we'll wrap up. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. We blasted through there almost 3 hours worth of news here for you, covering everything on this Monday, August 17th, 2026 edition. Again, thank you for joining us, those that have stuck with this long broadcast. Final story of the day here, and we'll get out of here. Tel Aviv creates fake think tank to poison AI chatbots with pro-Aardvarkland narratives. Report out of Responsible Statecraft. Aardvarkland creates fake think tank in likely attempt to dupe AI chatbots. In just over a week, the Hanover Institute has published at least 100 articles that appear tailor-made to influence chatbots. At a glance, the Hanover Institute for Public Policy looks like a new think tank dedicated to Aardvarkland, Palestine. The organization churns out think tank style reports on questions such as, does AIPAC use dark money in elections? And is Aardvarkland carrying out a deliberate campaign of starvation in Gaza? But the Hanover Institute is not a real think tank. None of the reports have bylines. A small disclaimer at the bottom of the webpage notes that the organization was created on behalf of the Aardvarkland government advertising agency Pyro Arsonist, just saying, advertising agency Pyro Inc., a firm co-founded by Daniel Rosenberg, the producer of Spike Lee's film Inside Man. The Hanover Institute's reports, all of which are about Aardvarkland and Palestine, appear to be part of an Aardvarkland effort to influence chatbots. The Institute's, quote, data reports have footnotes and tables of contents, and they present arguments in a neutral tone, helping them appear to chatbots like Claude or Gemini. Pyro's website says it, quote, authors content engineered for how LLMs evaluate credibility, describing this service as AI story optimization. Others refer to the practice as influencing artificial intelligence as LLM poisoning. So that they sound like a fun ethical group there. A fake think tank, the Hanover Institute, to dupe the LLM models. A little bit more about it. According to Hanover Institute about page on its website, they say studies the inputs fueling anti-Semitism in the United States and publishes what the evidence shows. Many of the reports are formulaic, starting with an innocent question that someone might ask a chatbot. What caused the displacement of Palestinians in 1948? Which humanitarian organizations have documented Aardvarkland war crimes? What is the current situation in the Gaza Strip? In an article titled, "Is the IDF the World's Most Moral Army?" the Hanover Institute cites a 2022 poll that found that 47% of Aardvark land aardvarks believed that statement. Another report casts doubt on UNICEF's assertion that 90% of water and institutional infrastructure has been damaged or destroyed in Gaza. Many of the reports conclude by linking the topic to rising antiseptic behavior, oftentimes citing the same studies. They're probably investors in the AI super bubble of hyperscalers as well. They do love this circular investment and circular reasoning to carry off their schemes, scams, and frauds. So be aware, the Hanover Institute is a rigged up operation, part of PR out of Aardvark land government, trying to rig up the AI chatbots out there. So be aware, Hanover Institute, fake and gay. All right. With that, let's check out the headlines, latest headlines from Iran International here. Have we blown up Iran and won the war for the 171st time since we've been on the air here live with you? Let's take a look. U.S. rules out Iran truce extension as Tehran officials set new deadline. Trump says Iran unlikely to make a deal he considers necessary to survive maximum pressure. Iran kept pumping and broke its oil company. Some of the headlines there out of Iran International and Al Jazeera. Final headlines, and we'll get out of here for this Monday broadcast. Trump rejects MOU extension with Iran as U.S. claims total control of Hormuz. Syrian military airport hit in first attack since al-Assad's fall. Trump's U.S. quote territory plan for Hormuz is maximalist demand. Trump still holds the cards in relationship with Milei, Bibi Netanyahu. Oil prices rise on Middle East supply concerns. It's a freaking disaster on day 170 of the Iran war. We're feeling it here at home. In the U.S. economy, the whole West Asia is feeling it a lot worse than us. It's just a giant and complete total disaster. Just claim victory and walk away, Trump, and just who cares? Everybody knows you're lying about everything anyway. Just say we won and walk away, and that's the best we can do here now, and to try to mitigate this disaster known as the Iran war. Heading over there to the Odysee channel. Thank you guys for hanging with me on this long Monday broadcast. I think we covered quite a bit. I'm getting tired over here. Let's see. Shout out to John. Shout out to Fat Bob on the Odysee. Shout out to Pink Vegas. To Vol. Shout out to you guys. Utter complete BS too, Sam. I cannot find more adjectives to that statement, or I would. Thank you, Fat Bob. Fat Bob says, to understand remains New York City's Madison Avenue, quote, madmen didn't even begin to address what that's metaphored into now, or morphed into now. Now in our lab-grown AI support businesses that give you the business. Oh, Fat Bob. Good ones. Let's see. John says, how many of the men and women on the ship are angry about fighting for Aardvark land? I'm surprised that no sailor has sabotaged the steam turbines. Well, reports are they sabotage a bunch of the other equipment on those all over our Navy, right? The hangman drawing on the plane with the word bitch kills me. Yeah. Are the local administrators being compensated for contracting with Flock? Good question. There's always kickback schemes, right? Tax breaks for alleged job growth, and then kickback schemes. There's always some type of insider dealings going on. It appears here now with our representative government. BRRT. Wow. That'd be a misery. Yeah. John says that accusation that Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism is a bull-faced lie. The United States and Aardvark land, and don't let me forget the Brits. I would say the Aardvark land and the U.S. tie for first with Brits. MI6 close second. I mean, let's be honest here. Let's not be blinded by the old red, white, and blue and war propaganda. Let's be honest. And I believe that's an honest assessment there. John goes on to say, it looks like Trump is provoking the Russians, like his orders from the Rothschilds is to start World War III and kill off the Goyim. Yes, seems like that's always the agenda, isn't it? Trump's dementia becomes more apparent every time he speaks or posts one of those lengthy delusional posts on Truth Social. Their language is as ugly as their death cult. Yes, indeed, John. And thank you, BRRT, for tuning in as well. And everybody else on the Odysee. Thank you guys for tuning in and chatting it up on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on X, Bitchute, Facebook, Substack, Rumble, and YouTube. Let's head over to the Rumble YouTube chat. Shout out to Fat Bob on the Rumble. We had a few at the beginning. We had one AQ on the YouTube says, I live in Iran. Ask me whatever you want. I'd like to have you on the show. If you're still listening, message me on the X, Weaponized News. And I'll have you on the show from Iran. I wish Sam would switch his phone off. Is that what's causing feedback? Maybe my phone's causing feedback. Frequent bad static might be phone. Wow. I hope it didn't go on for the whole show. I've seen reports of that. Yeah, I think it was the phone. Apologies for that. Let's see. Jim says U.S. military security protocol calls for all threats made against the United States of America to be taken seriously. Iran knew this when they first got started. A great deal maker can't make a deal. Yeah, some British pop singer was the guy, allegedly. They wanted to set up the cheerleader that passed away. I heard that in some reports as well. I hope the audio wasn't that bad for you guys. Apologies. I did have that my phone close to the mic, and I'm pretty sure that was what was causing it. Shout out to HM Hum on the YouTube. Google sucks, says DSA steering committee member Cliff Conley shares hatred of the United States Constitution as the obstacle we finally have to get over to have a revolution. hatred of the U.S. Constitution. Huh? That don't really make that much sense. Do you see me promoting DSA or any government for that matter? No. Okay, so people get confused. They tune in here and they think I'm like supporting the Democrats or something. No, no, no. I don't support any government, any political party. We're truly nonpartisan here. I know it's shocking in this day and age. We're not getting paid by the government to pump out propaganda and lies. We're here to give you honest analysis about what's really going on from Main Street America over here. All right, friends, thank you for chatting it up over there and keeping it halfway cordial on the YouTube and Rumble chats. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening, and we'll be back here on Tuesday for more Weaponized News. Let's pray for